I tell you what, when the goalkeeper turned away from play, you thought, where are you going from here? And he's manufactured a back heel that he got away with. I think is more luck than judgment. I may be wrong. Ederson's an outstanding cap.
Yes, I think you might be right on that occasion, Stuart. Pep Guardiola robbed of his best player, and although his team showed steel and resilience last week, questions do remain until they do it, how they're going to cope without Rodri. I mean, they do say that Ederson could probably play in midfield if he needed to, but I'm not necessarily sure that's the solution we're going to see. There's not many managers that are brave enough to put a goalkeeper into an outfield shirt and play them in the team, Stuart.
You would have to be stupid to do that, wouldn't you?
Or just inventive, I think. I think it's inventive. You may not have got the reference, but Stuart, as Manchester City manager, did give David James an outfield jersey once upon a time and sent him on to cause disruption. And if I remember rightly, it worked, didn't it?
Well, we didn't send him on, we sent him up. He was actually in goal at the time. We had to put Nicky Weaver in to send him up. Well, it partly worked.
Caused a bit of chaos, didn't it?
It did. His manager didn't give him any instruction, though, when I sent him on, and he decided at 6'4" and could jump out the clouds. He decided to play like a number 10 and played like Bambi, sadly.
Here is Cher, back here in the present day. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 0, live on TalkSport. Trippier has it far side and then sends it back to Lewis Hall, who's come into the team today at the expense of Lloyd Kelly, who's been left out. He's only on the bench this afternoon. Goes all the way back to Nick Pope, who had a little bit of a fumble last week down at Fulham, made a mistake which caused a real problem for his team. Actually, it wasn't a good performance by many, but they're making up for it with an intense start to this game. And Bruno Guimaraes has found Murphy down the right side. His first time ball was too ambitious, and the two coming into the centre, both Gordon and Tonali, reacted like the rest of the crowd, as if to say, why did you do that? It was far too early. Take your time, don't get excited.
Exactly that. Jacob Murphy, he's put a cross in that was slightly over it earlier, and on that occasion the fullback is saying, please don't run at me and take me on, come inside and have a shot, and he obliged by trying to cross the ball far too early.
Sheffield Wednesday have taken the lead. Donnell Furlong with a own goal after 9 minutes, which has given Danny Roll's team the lead against top of the table West Bromwich Albion in the Championship. That's live over on TalkSport 2 now. If you want to listen to TalkSport 2, pretty easy. Just download our app. Even Stuart Pearce has got the TalkSport app.
All over it. All over it, my friend. Just looking at Newcastle's press here, this is taking me back to, you remember Manchester United in the FA Cup, the wide players coming in very narrow, forcing City to go on the outside. It looks as though Eddie's looked at that blueprint and thought that's our best way forward.
Well, I mentioned last week, actually, when I was watching that Arsenal-Manchester City game, that one of the key components to that match was the fact that Arsenal narrowed off in a 5 and a 4 and forced them to try and go wide and made it very difficult to go through the middle. They didn't do that until Grealish came on, and he did eventually find the gaps that prized them open. But that's what Newcastle have decided to do today. They've deployed almost like a 5 and a 4 in front of, or certainly a 4 and then another bank of 4 straight away in front of their goal away to our left. City have the ball just in front of the centre circle. It's with Kyle Walker and then Kovacic. Kovacic going back towards the left-hand side. Yeah, Joelinton almost dropping into a left full-back position when they don't have the ball, and then Hall coming more narrow to play with Byrne and Cher. And that's where we are at this moment in time, as Gundogan goes towards the right, then travels infield. They're tightly compact and camped on the edge of their own penalty area here, Newcastle United. Vardiol, then into Diaz. How frustrating is it when you have got all of those shirts in front of you and you know you've got to try and find a very circuitous route to get through to where you want to go?
Well, you just have to keep...
Oh, here's a problem, because Gordon is causing issues for Ruben Diaz. He's held him off brilliantly, and he's fed Barnes as they look to escape. Joelinton's going on the outside. He's fed him, but it wasn't a great ball. And he's got it back now, Barnes, edge of the penalty area. The City numbers have got back into position. Bruno Guimaraes has controlled it, played it back wide again. The attack has slowed and some of the momentum has gone out of it. But a ball up to Gordon, and his ability to hold off Diaz really caused them an issue. Guimaraes gets to the edge of the penalty area, tries to tease it into the box, falls kindly for first Gordon, and then Trippier strikes one straight into the body of Jack Grealish. It takes a deflection and goes out of play on this near side, and Jack Grealish, I think, may have got that at the bottom of the chin and it's floored him. He's gone down inside the 18-yard box, and even Trippier's gone over to check he's okay.
Yeah, I think he's taken the wind out of Grealish. And just saying, Newcastle have had probably 4 or 5 opportunities to work the goalkeeper here and get good balls in, and they've just an overlapping run, the pass has not been right, an early cross when you need to take another split second to put the ball in, an overhit cross. You can see they're not firing with that ultimate momentum that we've seen before with Newcastle.
Newcastle United making their first substitution of the game, and that is the right boot of Kieran Trippier. The left one is still one of the original orange ones, but he's got a new blue one on his right foot, and he'll come back and change the other one, I think, in just a moment. He's just talking to Jason Tyndall. They're about to take a corner on this near side. It's going to be whipped in by Hall. It's a decent delivery to the far post. Joel Linton and Byrne went up for it. It comes back to Joel Linton, who prods it goalwards, but there was no power in that header. It looped into the air, and it was caught out of the sky by Ederson, and it will be cleared away. So we've played 15 and a half minutes. You're listening to Talk Sport, and we're live at St James's Park in Newcastle, and it's goalless.
You made the statement just prior to the Grealish situation there about how difficult it is and how patient you have to be. If you've got possession, the opposition bank up, we're about 30 metres away. You've got to, concentration plays a massive part for both teams. If you're defending it, you've got to concentrate.
Tonali sends the ball down the right. Loads of space for Trippier. Got to pick out the right ball here. Gets to the byline, sends it into the 6-yard box. He didn't pick out the right ball, and Ruben Diaz stepped in front of Gordon and managed to clear. Second bite of the cherry, maybe. Trippier onto Tonali. His ball's blocked by Gvardiol. Out for another throw into Newcastle United, down by the corner flag away to our right-hand side.
Yeah, you're just looking at Newcastle with sort of the delivery that's come in the box, and probably just a fraction off, and a real fraction. But those fractions are so important, and maybe the likes of Isak, if he was at the centre forward point, the runs might be slightly different.
Share back from the throw-in, which was deep inside City territory. They've gone to halfway now, and those black and white jerseys with the white patch on the back for the numbers, so visible in the sunlight here. It's almost, I haven't got the sunglasses on, as has, I think, been pointed out by someone, but you're still squinting because it's glinting off of the surface and refracting through that glass roof away to our right, above our heads. Newcastle have got a free kick because Carl Walker's been a little bit eager over on the far side, and that's going to give Newcastle the chance to whip another ball into the box. 0-0, 17 played on TalkSport.
I think, if anything, watching that Arsenal game and the ball coming into the box and City being under big pressure, I think Newcastle will certainly look to work on that weakness.
Harrogate lead Bradford by 1-0 in League Two. Here's the free kick, tight to the touchline, far side. It's whipped in by Lewis Hall. It's on the edge of the 6-yard box when Walker heads it clear. Gvardiol further away, back to Lewis Hall, down the left it goes. Bit of space here for Anthony Gordon, though, taking on Rico Lewis in the shade of the Gallagher end. He whips it in towards Tonali, couldn't control it, away by Kovacic, who got there and won the second ball, but the pressure is all from Newcastle United. 0-0. Gordon, left side, lean and wispy, shirt untucked to the waist, chops back in right-footed. His cross takes a deflection, away by Ruben Diaz. He keeps it alive, but it's a poor header back towards Tonali, and he's given it straight to Gundogan, who looks to try and get forward, can't do so, and Tonali's won it back. Out to the right it goes. Barnes chasing, the ball was too heavy from Tonali, and it just drifts out of play. But there's something in this for Newcastle United if they can just get their distances right and their delivery correct.
100%, and we've just seen another example of it there. The margin for error was quite vast, you know. You should get a pass like that right. It's just over it, it's run out of play, but they've certainly started the game, Newcastle, with a lot of energy.
Well, Newcastle will want to make it difficult for City. There's no doubt that as the game goes on, there will be those odd delays, those doses of gamesmanship that we saw last Sunday. Maybe not as pronounced as what we saw with Arsenal. They were down to 10 men, but everyone has their ethos to a lesser or varying degree. And even, hearing Eddie Howe speak yesterday, he said everyone does it. It's just how often they do it. Thrown away by Gvardiol. Was that a foul throw by Gvardiol?
He took the first one and it didn't come in, so he had to retake the second one. And the second one was a foul throw. He was desperate to give it back to Newcastle. I think he just enjoys his defending.
was a terrible effort. Ball down the right, looking for Tonali, who gets beyond Gvardiol and then is wrestled by the Croatian. And then a free kick is given against Tonali. It was a bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, but Darren Can, the official on this near side, the assistant referee, flags in favour of Manchester City, and they have a free kick in the left full-back position. Newcastle sitting 6 in the table, just 3 points adrift of leaders City after 6 games. They had problems at the Craven Cottage last week. Anyhow, saying they didn't look like themselves, and they would want to improve today. The 2-2 draw against Arsenal last week actually ended a run of 13 consecutive Premier League wins for Manchester City. But look, they did manage to draw the game against Inter Milan in the Champions League just before that as well. So they haven't had a perfect start to the season. But they're on the front foot now. Kovacic to the left, trying to find Grealish. Joel Linton with a WWF wrestling move to drag Grealish to the floor, gives away a free kick. Grealish reacts to it, gets up. Trippier immediately pulls him away, Joel Linton, but it was a stupid free kick to give away.
Yeah, it was. He bundled him down. I mean, you know, you can be forgiven for thinking that Jack Grealish goes down a bit cheaply on occasion, but that weren't one of them.
Yes, it was slightly agricultural from Joel Linton, who himself actually I think was name-checked by Eddie Howe as a player that needs to step up and be more like his former self.
It's the thing, when you're talking about what is your best team, and I used to get asked this as a manager, and I always used to turn around and say the players dictate that, always do.
Because they've got to be in form.
Exactly that, so.
Here is the free kick. It will be taken by Gundogan on this left side as Manchester City look at it, inside the Newcastle, halfway inside the Newcastle half. It's about 10 yards in from the left touchline. It'll be taken by Gundogan, and he'll whip this in right-footed and try and drop it behind the back line, which is lined up just 5 yards in front of the 18-yard box. Actually, he's left it for Bernardo Silva instead. It was an outswinger, which was always going to cause them a little bit less of a problem, and they've dealt with that well. There was a push on Burn anyway as he headed the ball clear, and it's a free kick to Newcastle instead.
Yeah, I think it was Diaz just trying to take Burn out of the equation to make life a little bit easier for his teammates.
I mentioned that City haven't been perfect this season. They have been behind in 3 of their 5 previous Premier League games this season. And they twice conceded the opening goal as well. Ipswich and Brentford have got in behind them. They trailed Arsenal once they got back in the game, having earlier taken the lead. A little mistake from Ederson, whose kicking wasn't perfect there, just hoiked the ball out of play over on the far side under a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, really good pressure there from Gordon actually. He went after Ederson with real gusto.
Trippier was the aimed recipient of a pass from the back from Cher, but he took a little bit too long to do it. Trippier went early, then when the ball came he knew that the offside flag would go up, so he left it to get back into his position, get back into his slot, because he knows, his manager knows, they've spoken about it. Everybody in a Newcastle shirt, if they're to get anything from this game today, is going to have to be at their very best. Ederson with another touch which didn't look comfortable, and it invited pressure from Gordon, closed him down, but he still managed to clear. Well, Grealish and Cher now sharing a few words, which the referee has just come over to intervene with. Cher just got a whack on the back of the head, I think, from Grealish. It was accidental, no more than that. The thing about Ederson is, though, Stuart, is that sometimes he makes you gasp a little bit in terms of his ability on the ball, and you think, oh God, it's a goalkeeper taking a touch, he shouldn't do that. But because of the fact that he is so talented with his feet, maybe we shouldn't be as shocked when he pulls off a trick or two.
Well, what I like about him, he pulls off a trick to get himself out of a tight situation, which is fine. The thing I like about him, if a long pass is on, he'll play it.
Oh, here's a long pass, which is on for Murphy, who's scampering in behind Gvardiol, who has to stretch to nudge it out of play on this near side, and it goes out for a corner for Newcastle. Good ball down the right, and actually Murphy showing how speedy he is there to outpace Gvardiol and get in front of him, and Gvardiol had to take emergency action.
Well, there's a lot of mobility. We spoke about this pre-game. There's a lot of mobility in the front three of Newcastle, and if they keep popping the ball into wide areas and beyond Manchester City's back line, they will cause a problem.
Lewis Hall to take the corner near side, And there's a lot of movement at the back post, and it's aimed in towards that central 6-yard area. It took a flick on the way through and went out for another corner, but there was an accusation of handball as that was fizzed into the box left side. A bit of pushing and shoving going on. Haaland went up. Don't think it hit anyone's hand. It just smacked off Haaland and then the side of the face of Grealish and out for a corner. Could have gone anywhere, that.
Yeah, it certainly could, but good first contact by City. Caused a lot of problems against Arsenal.
Here is the corner. Trippier deep to the far post. Cher keeps it alive. The second ball attacked by Byrne, cleared away by Akanji, just inside the 6-yard box. Out to the right side once again, and it's with Joel Linton, who plays it to Murphy, and then Guimaraes tries to squeeze it down the right. Was there a handball there? The referee shakes his head. City pinch it through Silva, and before Grealish could escape, Fabian Cher commits what can only be described as a very poor tackle and gets a yellow card.
Yeah, Pep's body language there saying it all. It was one of those challenges that suggested I'll go for the ball, and if I miss it, well, least of the two options.
Yes.
Take the player out.
Fabian Cher, who sent off on the opening day of the season, scored on his return at Wolverhampton Wanderers. He, alongside Dan Byrne, has had to form a partnership in the absence of Sven Botman, who's out with an ACL issue. Eddie Howe standing in front of us, gesticulating, pointing, shouting. We've got Graham Jones and some of the analysts up away to our right-hand side. Jason Tyndall taking a back seat at this moment in time. Gvardiol looking for Lewis, who brings it down, sets up Haaland, sweeps it left. He is joined by Bernardo Silva, gets to the edge of the penalty area, tries to tee up Gundogan, and actually, I think Gundogan went to strike that first time, and his right-footed shot hit his left foot before Dan Byrne could slide in.
Yeah, he got it all wrong, but I tell you what, great run there by Lewis in behind. That started it up. I thought Haaland was going to come on and unload one. He set it out wide, and eventually it come in. Gundogan, it's that double touch situation.
It is 0-0. I noticed that the Newcastle coaching staff wearing sort of almost vintage Adidas 1990s tracksuit, which I think is a replica of one from back in the day when you were playing here. And I probably would imagine, knowing what I do about your accumulation of clothes, and that if they're free, you'll keep them. You've probably got an original one in your wardrobe somewhere, haven't you?
It's in the garage, actually. I've got a lot of 80s sporting memorabilia. I'll invite you round for a little cup of tea and a trip down memory lane if you fancy it one day.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. I like the idea of that. Can we get the neighbours to bake us a cake like back in the old days?
They've moved. They've moved.
Oh, that's inconsiderate.
Yeah, but not far away. We'll still get the cake.
Okay,
their lemon drizzle was a touch of class, I've got to say.
That was back in the lockdown days when Stuart and I did a show remotely. I just got to look at the lemon drizzle cake. Haaland holds it up on halfway, takes it into the centre, gives it to Gundogan, out to the right-hand side, given to Bernardo Silva, who sends it to the back post, and Haaland was coming in at that back post, but Trippier did brilliantly and positioned his body between ball man and post and managed just to allow it to go behind and out for a corner kick. Haaland hunting, and Trippier somehow held him off.
I'll tell you what, we've got a fantastic clash here between Haaland and Byrne, both of them physical animals, but at the far post, you explained it brilliantly. He's done absolutely fantastically there, Trippier. You're looking and all you can see is Haaland, and then Trippier just gets in front of him.
And he's got a whack off of the upright to just for good measure. Here is Gundogan on the near side with the corner kick in towards the near post. Akanji goes for it. Trippier gets it away. Byrne with a header. It's a stronger one out of the penalty area. On the left side, Gundogan once again, right-footed, deep towards the far post. Away by Joel Linton. Drops for Bernardo Silva, who dabs it into the centre. It's chested down by Akanji. Gvardiol is there. He tries to stab it forward. It goes behind and out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. And you have to say that was good defending by Newcastle.
Yeah, it was top quality. Once again, they rely on Byrne and Joe Linton. Anything physical in the air, those two were the two on that occasion, definitely getting their head on things.
Well, it's a busy old day today up and down the country, and we've already started. We'll take you around the grounds with Adrian Durham from 2:30 this afternoon. Always a brilliant list, and I'll be doing that as I snake my way back across the country from northeast to northwest. And at this moment in time, we are yet to have a goal in this particular game between Newcastle United and Manchester City. Here is Lewis, tight inside the centre circle, back to Akanji. Akanji sending it square to Carl Walker. Walker forward, and then runs into Joel Linton. Never a nice thing to do, and Joel Linton, who is a little bit, let's say, handsy, has decided that he would take matters into his own hands and bring him down, give away a free kick.
Yeah, really loose challenge. I'm not sure why the referee bothered stopping the game, to be fair. City were comfortable in possession, but there you go. If you're weaving your way back to the northwest, you'll probably come across a lot of the Warrington Wolves fans and St Helens fans coming. Big clash at 5:30 at the Halliwell Jones, which will be some game.
It's live on TalkSport 2, actually.
No surprise to me that game's live on TalkSport 2. It will be an absolute cracker.
The only surprise to me is that you haven't volunteered to be part of the commentary team for that one as well.
I couldn't get back in time, could I? I had a look at the trains.
Here's Gundogan down the right from the short free kick. It's a poor ball into the middle and goes out and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. You're listening to Newcastle United 0, Manchester City 0 on TalkSport with Sky Sports. And don't forget, you can stream more Sky Sports football than ever before, available with no contract on now. Like Wolves against Liverpool live today, search Now Sports. Ball cleared away from our left-hand side. But a little bit of a foul going on involving Haaland, which Trippier wants to take a quick free kick from. He's not going to be able to do so. And then that's Haaland again, tussling with Bruno Guimaraes. He's getting a little bit irate, is Erling Haaland. Had a week off this week. I think he went back to attend a funeral in Norway in midweek. I know he lost a member of his entourage a couple of weeks ago, ahead of the game that we did down at Southampton with Manchester United. And I think he had to go back during midweek and missed the Watford game as a result of that. They have a free kick here. Newcastle just short of the halfway line. Trippier dollies it up towards Dan Burn, who wins the first header. It drops for Diaz and it is cleared away, far side. And eventually it comes back from Silva to Walker, and Walker just evades the challenge of Dan Burn by coming infield and then wandering into a bit of traffic really, and had to go back to his goalkeeper, who's now under pressure from Dan Burn, who's leading the press, and Gordon, who's won it back inside the 18-yard box. He's gone backwards instead of forwards, and then Bruno Guimaraes has gone into a tackle, and that's going to be a yellow card for what was a hefty attempt at trying to win in difficult circumstances on Gundogan.
It was, but there was a slight touch there, but I think he saw the challenge. Well, everyone saw the challenge coming, and he rode it. No problems at all. It's a Newcastle player that suffered worst.
And it certainly was, and that is a yellow card, the second yellow card of the game. First for Cher, the second for Bruno Guimaraes.
Just looking at Dan Burn there. If there's one thing you've got to do in front of this public here, is show bags and bags of energy, and he'd done exactly that, chasing the goalkeeper down. It inspired Gordon to come and join the party, and from there, fantastic press and turnover.
0-0, and we played 32 rather interesting minutes so far. High turnovers, I think, are going to be really interesting for both these two teams, because obviously that's a tactic that Newcastle want to try and employ, but actually City are very good at it. No team has faced more shots from high turnovers than Newcastle this season, and no team has scored more goals from them than Manchester City this campaign. Here is Grealish over on the far side, skipping his way past Gordon, getting into the middle of the park, plays it to Gundogan. Gundogan with a reverse ball, not a great one, cut out by Trippier, and it's turned over and it's moved over on this far side.
I have never seen Gundogan miss his pass or give it away as much in his whole career at City than I have in the game today so far. It's been incredible.
Harrogate lead Bradford by 2-1 in League Two. Reading 1, Huddersfield 1. Bolton lead Crawley away from home in League One. In the Championship, Blackburn 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0, Derby 0, Norwich 0, and Sheffield Wednesday now 2-0 up in their game. Josh Windass with their second goal after a Darnell Furlong own goal, and the team that only have won one game this season, that was Plymouth on the opening day of the season under Danny Roll, are in front against the best team in the league at this moment in time. Here, it's still goalless. Here's Rico Lewis just in front of the centre circle, and he plays it back to Ruben Diaz. Diaz to Kovacic at walking pace now as Newcastle get into shape behind the ball. Pep Guardiola throws his arms up in the air with his long sleeve black knitted jumper on, tight combat trousers, as Grealish picks it up, gets through a tight gap, gives it to Gvardiol, who tries to tease it into the corner with a little Cruyff turn, and a lovely ball into the far corner by Gvardiol, undoes Nick Pope, who didn't see it coming. It nestles into the corner, and Manchester City lead. Again, it's Grealish who helps unlock the door, taking the ball wide to this left-hand side, and then quickly fizzing the ball in towards the 18-yard box, where Gvardiol had made an underlapping run into the left channel, and he then turned back in field and steered it into the far corner, and it's 1-0 to Manchester City.
Yeah, concerning for Manchester City. Before we talk through the goal, Haaland's over here talking to the physios. I don't know if he's got a slight problem there with his ankles or his boots or whatever. In regard to the goal, Newcastle were undone. Trippier's given his wicket away rather cheaply in front of us against Grealish, which he shouldn't have done. And from that moment on, Grealish done extremely well, found a brilliant pass, and Gvardiol cut inside, opened the goal up and slid it into the far corner. That's been the difference between Manchester City being in front now and Newcastle being behind. Newcastle have probably had more opportunities in the final third, a lot more in fact. They've not found the pass, the clinical nature of the pass, the cross, the final ball.
Yes, I think that's key, isn't it? The fact is that Newcastle have been in a situation where they've had chances, not been ruthless. Manchester City probably have only had one, Stuart, and they have scored it. 36 minutes on the clock. Trippier down the right side, looking to try and get them back on level pegging. He gets to the corner flag and just about keeps it in. Needs support provided by Jacob Murphy. Tonali a bit further back, and then on to Bruno Guimaraes. It's down the right to Trippier once again. And then it's into Bruno Guimaraes, who tries to face up Gundogan. Into Gordon, then back to halfway. Pep will be happy, because he was talking in the press conference yesterday about creating space when there is no space. And certainly Manchester City finding the gap to get themselves in front here today. They've given away another corner over on the far side. Joel Linton basically probably needs a little bit of credit for that, because he was the one who was harassing Ruben Diaz and then played it against him and forced him into giving away a corner over on the far side. Yeah,
we're just looking, I've got pictures here of the Achilles of Haaland, and obviously someone's gone down the back of him there, ripped his sock and threw a touch of blood.
That doesn't look great. Here is the corner headed away by Haaland at the near post from Trippier's delivery. It's given to Gordon, back to Trippier once again. He's on his right foot, angle of the penalty area, in towards Ederson, and Akanji collide, and City do manage to get it away. Only as far as Gordon, who finds Murphy. Murphy engaged by Grealish, and then Cher takes it back to halfway, and it remains Newcastle United 0. Manchester City 1, the goal coming from Gvardiol after 36 minutes here. That's not a great ball out to the far side by Trippier, and it goes straight out of play.
Yeah, they've missed probably too many opportunities to certainly take on a side like Manchester City and be in front. Too many opportunities with their passing at the moment, Newcastle, and you can probably understand the frustration that Eddie Howe's been feeling over the last couple of weeks.
Currently Newcastle 0, Manchester City 1. The latest odds are available on Betfair, and they are the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Newcastle to win the game at 11-1, City are 4-1 on, the draw is 4-1, and that's all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org. City have the ball halfway. They send it long down the right into Haaland, who did get there first, but then couldn't tee up Bernardo Silva, who had come running to try and join him. Cleared away by Nick Pope, taken down by Gordon, and then it's picked up by Barnes, who down the left continues his run, feeds Lewis Hall. There's a bit of space for Joel Linton in midfield. He's halfway inside City territory, a shade left of centre. Then Guimaraes spots the run of Trippier, who's scampered down towards the byline, pulls it back, step over by Tonali. Oh, there's no one there. It's gone all the way through the box and gone out the other side. Picked up by Barnes. Now on to Hall. His cross blocked by Carl Walker drops on the edge of the area and cleared away by Gundogan, and Pep actually a little bit disappointed that Gundogan has just decided to whack it upfield, and that's a poor ball by Pope. Oh, he's giving it straight to Gundogan. Gundogan's going to try and chip him, and he's only fortunate that Gundogan's clubs have been left in the back of the car and he can't find the right range. It's straight into Pope's arms.
Well, I mentioned to you a couple of minutes ago about Gundogan. He's just not at it at the moment, you know. The vision of him when he was here first time out, today is not his game. He's missed so many passes, which is normally his forte, Sam.
What a chance that was. He was gifted the opportunity to lob Nick Pope by a poor pass out by the goalkeeper, and Gundogan looked up and he tried to do just that, but he just couldn't get the club out of the bag, could he?
No, it was an awful effort, and to be fair, it's no surprise really, because he's missed quite a few passes in this game.
It was a bit of a duffer from Gundogan. It was straight into the arms of Pope, and Newcastle are fortunate. Here's Murphy, right side, played in by Trippier. Bit of space for Tonali now, 10 yards short of the penalty area. On the right is Gordon. Gordon with a chance to cross. He does so, right-footed. It's over the head of Bruno Guimaraes and helped back by Walker to his goalkeeper. 0-0, 5 minutes before the break.
Yeah, Manchester City just demonstrating a little bit more know-how in the main, and that's been the difference between the two sides. The energy levels of Newcastle have been fantastic. I've got to say they've been on the front foot. They've created entries into critical areas, especially on this right-hand side with Murphy and Trippier, but they've not been able to find that killer pass.
Ian Danter and Alvin Martin bringing you commentary later on of Chelsea against Brighton. And that's on TalkSport 2 from 3 o'clock as we take you round the grounds here with Adrian, as Haaland is released by Gundogan this time. This time Haaland can't get beyond Burn. It's cleared by Hall, but straight to Gundogan, who feeds it back in the direction of Haaland. But again, it wasn't quite right, and it's picked up by Pope. And it's another big opportunity for Manchester City, which has left us aghast.
I've got to say, Sam, I think Gundogan left the club and his twin brothers come back by the looks of things. Honestly, I revere this player. He's an absolute outstanding player and he's been brilliant for City, but today's not been his day. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't appear again in the second half.
He just hasn't had a great start to the game. Newcastle trying to win it back far side. Walker does that for Manchester City. Gordon was coming behind Kovacic, but the Croatian was alert to the danger. City still playing midway inside the Newcastle half of the field. Tight to the touchline far side is Bernardo Silva. Very small, diminutive and thin. He wears his shirt rather scruffily, baggy and hanging out of his shorts. And he sort of walks a little bit with a stoop, but then he bursts to life with such graceful energy. He can always cause a problem for Newcastle United. Grealish on this near side, slightly more interested in his attire and appearance. There's a very well cultivated image with that Alice band, the shirt a little more fitted, and certainly those calves preventing the sock from being pulled up as far as maybe most people would. I'm sure that's the reason he wears them down by his ankles. Here is Kovacic trying to squeeze through a tight gap and find Lewis. Lewis onto the left and Gundogan looking for Grealish now. Grealish accelerates, gets into the box, comes on the inside, tries to find a pass to Akanji, who side-foots the ball goalwards. It's blocked by Guimaraes and it's blocked and away and out for a corner kick over on the far side just before the break.
Yeah, good set-up play there once again by Grealish. Cut inside, just open the goal up as he does. And great weight on the ball.
Does keep doing it though. Coming inside, it's something that I think Newcastle either are allowing him to do or think that he's not as dangerous doing that, but
it's what he does. You can't stop him doing that. That's where the space is, that's where he goes. I get frustrated on occasion that he doesn't go on the outside, but if you find a good pass every time, you can't complain.
Ball towards the penalty spot. Akanji tries to get up and win it. He can't do so, and then Gordon beats Lewis to the ball, and now they look to break over the halfway line, Newcastle, with Murphy, who goes beyond Kovacic and then tries to take on Bernardo Silva, beats him, goes into the penalty area now, then tries to pull it back, plays it against Walker. Did it come off a hand? Referee says no. Bruno Guimaraes is going mad. The ball is out on the far side. Newcastle want a penalty. Well, it was a blistering run from Jacob Murphy down the left-hand side. He went powering forward at full pelt, accelerated beyond both Bernardo Silva and past Kovacic, and then got to the byline, pulled it back, and as he did so, it deflected into the path off Walker towards the byline, and there were claims of handball, Stuart.
Yeah, too close. I've seen too many instances this year, certainly this season, with the directives to the referee. They're not going to give things at close contact, and that certainly was one of those situations again.
Well, just raise the hackles of the Newcastle support as we approach half-time here. And it's still Newcastle 0, Manchester City 1. The goal coming from Josko Gvardiol, who had a great flurry of goals scored towards the end of last season and is off the mark for this campaign. Here he is on the ball on halfway, being chased by Cher. Goes back to Ruben Diaz, and Rob Jones, who's the fourth official, just striding out down in front of us to the edge of the pitch to lift his board and tell us how many minutes are going to be added on at the end of the first half. Just the one. Tonali from Trippier, who did well, then draws a foul from Gundogan. Free kick right at the end of the first 45. It's about 3 yards in from the right touchline. It's 11 yards in. And does that count as a dark art, by the way? Because I think Gundogan just stood in front of the ball there and stopped Trippier from taking the free kick quickly.
Well, maybe not sort of aubergine colour rather than dark. Yeah. It's not murder. Everyone does it.
Everyone does it.
Everyone does it, and the referees do nothing about it.
Of course they do. Just some are cuter at it than others, that's all. Trippier, right-footed. Drips the ball to the edge of the penalty area. It's flicked on by Byrne, and Joel Linton turns and smashes the ball goalwards, and it's saved brilliantly by Ederson. Comes back to Byrne again. He hits it. There's a collision inside the box, and the Newcastle fans want a penalty. Great chance for Joel Linton. Out to the left it goes to Barnes. Barnes into the air. Right-footed shot, takes a deflection, sneaks behind, and out for a corner at the end of the first half.
Well, an incredible phase of play there. A great first touch by Joe Linton. He swivelled, hit it with his left foot across the face of the goalkeeper. He got two solid hands to it, and from the skirmish it's gone for a corner.
Corner in towards the near post. Haaland away with the header. There's the half-time whistle. What a fantastic end to the first 45 minutes. Newcastle have certainly had their chances. They haven't taken any of those in that first 45 minutes. I think Manchester City only had the one, and that was certainly taken by Gvardiol. Gundogan probably should have had a second, but he fluffed his line. You know, Newcastle's home record is pretty solid, and so far the last team that were to beat them here were Manchester City, and Manchester City look like they're on course to beat them again at the break. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 1.
Sam Matterface, thank you very much indeed. The players are heading down the tunnel, which is very, very close to where we are sat here. Great vantage point here at St James's Park. Great atmosphere at St James's Park as well. Newcastle United definitely entertaining in that first half. They had City Pen back for much of that, the opening 45 minutes. Just not enough end product, even from that front three.
No, without a doubt. The final ball into the box has either been too firm, too early. You could always pick a hole in a lot of the things that they've done in regard, and that happens when you're not brimming with confidence as a team. They're just a little bit short of something. The energy's there, the confidence isn't there, and with that, some of your past selection or your final finish comes a little bit astray. I'm looking at Foden on the pitch now. Foden will be on for Gundogan because he's been that bad.
Yeah.
That I guarantee you that.
Yeah, he's not made very much impact at all in that midfield, has he?
Well, he's been on the ball a lot, but as I said, I've never seen him give the ball away as much as he actually has. He's an outstanding player, but he's just not with the speed of the game at the moment. Had a brilliant opportunity to extend the lead to 2-0 and flunked his lines.
It's almost against the direction of play, really, that City were able to score that goal.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about it that Newcastle have had more entries into the final third and had more opportunities to work the goalkeeper, but they've probably only done it on one or two occasions where their play and their entries in certain areas probably dictated they should have had at least 5 efforts at goal.
Gvardiol becoming a really tidy player, isn't he? Because now he can get on the end of goals as well. He's done that in Europe last season for Manchester City, really proving his worth as a defender and, of course, contributing to the goals as well. But defensively, Newcastle have got to do better, haven't they? And Nick Pope as well. He's got to see that coming.
I think there was some quality play there. Where the problem lied was Trippier giving his wicket away right on the touchline. He let in a ball that was there for sharing, and if it's there for sharing as a fullback, you go straight through your wide player and take the ball as well. He didn't do that. He hesitated slightly. Grealish went beyond him, and from that moment on, to be fair to Grealish, he done extremely well, found a really good pass, and Guardiola in a more advanced position just turned inside and stroked it in, but it started from Trippier on the touchline.
Yeah, it did. And you know, you were talking about Newcastle being a side that really needed a bit more confidence, and there's nothing to dent that more than a City goal at a really opportune moment for them. So they're going to really have to pick themselves up for this second half. How is Eddie Howe going to do that now?
Well, I think he'll be looking to outline the fact of, look, the energy is brilliant, keep the energy up as a team, keep trying to flourish, and especially down the right hand side. Murphy's getting a lot of space on the right hand side, and then you just say to them, look, we just need to find that right pass, find the right pass, and we're back in this game. They're doing a lot of things right, but when you come up against another team, they would have probably been winning today. Against Manchester City, you find yourself a goal down, instead of going in at half-time and it still be 0-0, Manchester City have found a way.
Do they have to do a little bit more of what Arsenal did last week? Play a bit, because they will probably be off the ball quite a lot, so they're going to have to sort of get better at that and find the opportunities, find the spaces.
And historically, since Eddie's been here, they've been fantastically well at showing energy, pressing well from the front. I think they've done that quite well. That will create chances in itself, and probably set plays as well. Haaland's got his head on probably 3 corners. They've got to miss him out.
Yeah. OK, plenty to do for Eddie Howe's side then going into the second half here. But at the end of the first opening 45 minutes at St James's Park, it is Newcastle 0, Manchester City 1, and the second half is up after this.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Stream more Sky Sports football than ever before. Available with no contract on now. Like Wolves versus Liverpool live today. Search Now Sports. 18+, stream via internet. Terms apply.
Screwfix Sprint delivers from store to door in 60 minutes or less. So, whatever the job, you can do it with less hassle and more hustle. Less pausing and more pressing on. So don't break your stride. Screwfix Sprint. Order now exclusively on a Screwfix app. £5 delivery charge, no minimum spend. Don't stop. Sprint. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply. Selected products.
Football is back and it's game on. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out goals. With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals. Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in the Sun.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
Settle down for a night of crime. Witness a heist. Follow a car chase. Eat too much popcorn. Meet a mafia boss. Join in on a bank robbery. Think about making a cup of tea. Be too comfortable to get up. For less.
Selected IKEA sofas are now at a new lower price, along with thousands of other products. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
The Philly cheesesteak is back at McDonald's. 2 beef patties, crispy and grilled onions, cheddar cheese, all topped with a melted cheddar cheese sauce. What could be better? How about playing the Monopoly game with a Philly cheesesteak too? Yes, please. Until 15th of October from 11 a.m. Participating UK restaurants. Subject to availability. 18+. App may be required. See mcdrules.co.uk.
At Betfair, we're here for those who look at football differently. Those who notice when the team of Galacticos, with a packed European and domestic schedule, might be about to underestimate the well-rested, well-drilled mid-table team. Build the bet you want with a completely free ACCA or bet builder on football this weekend. Betfair. Play different.
Opt-in and previous deposit required. Max free bet varies from £1 to £10 per customer. Minimum odds of 1.5 on minimum one leg. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game, cozied up in the snug. Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Champions League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
Fired up and raring to go.
He's done it again!
Game day.
The games, the goals, the glory.
How about that?
Game day exclusive
on TalkSport.
You are listening to Game Day exclusive live on TalkSport with me, Reshmin Chowdhury. We are at St James's Park, where at half-time the scoreline is Newcastle United 0, Manchester City 1. That's despite Newcastle's best endeavours to try and pen the champions in, but it was Josko Guardiola who managed a goal in that first half. Elsewhere in the 12:30 kickoffs in the Championship on TalkSport 2, it's Sheffield Wednesday 2, West Brom 0, Derby 0, Norwich City 1, Blackburn 0, QPR 1. In League 1, Crawley 0, Bolton Wanderers 1, Reading 1, Huddersfield Town 1, and in League 2 it's Harrogate 2, Bradford 1. Bit of a local derby that, isn't it? And Walsall 1, Colchester 0. Okay, let's get the latest from Betfair, shall we, as we keep our eyes on this game and our commentary as well, of course. Newcastle United against Manchester City. Yeah, let's hear more from Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Get a completely free ACCA or bet builder on football this weekend. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Max free bet varies from £1 to £10 per customer. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
Joe Dyer, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, all good. An entertaining half of football. The odds. Well, let me tell you about the odds. So it's life after Rodri. It looks like it's going to begin with a win, according to the Betfair traders. They put they make City just 1-4 to leave St James's Park with the 3 points. You can get 12-1 on an outlandish come from behind win for the Geordies, and the draw is 4-1 at the moment.
Okay, fantastic. And what about Sam's charity bet so far?
Yeah, it needs a bit of help, and we're looking at Anthony Gordon to provide that. He's obviously in there with two or more shots for the day. I don't think he's had one yet, but obviously we have another 45 minutes. He's leading the line. He's actually 7-2 to open to score in the game.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we need help from Anthony Gordon. We need him to score. That will land both teams to score, but then we also need City to win. So a fair bit's happen in the next 45 minutes there.
Yeah, a lot of things have to go our way, don't we, for that one to land. Thank you very much, Joe Dyer from Betfair. That odds update is all thanks to Betfair. Returns accurate as 10 minutes ago. For verification, see betfair.com. Over 18s only. Conditions apply. Go to begambleaware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Get a completely free ACCA or bet builder on football this weekend. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Max free bet varies from £1 to £10 per customer. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
Now, following Newcastle United against Manchester City, Adrian Durham will be live on TalkSport, taking you around the grounds with Game Day Live, with all the goals as they go in across the Premier League and the EFL, of course. You are basing yourself, Adrian Durham, at the G-Tech for Brentford against West Ham. First of all, is it as sunny down there as it is here?
Yep, it's chilly but sunny. I love coming here. This was 11th on my... in my top 10 of grounds that I love. I really love this ground.
11th out. I like how you did that.
It should be a great atmosphere with it being a London derby. West Ham fans are beginning to wonder what's going on. So we shall see. Amazingly, West Ham first 6 games for them have been in London, which is extraordinary. I think it's
Isn't it? Yeah.
Happened once before, but yeah, we're around the grounds with all the goals as they go in. From when you're basically done there, around about 2:30, 2:40, we'll go around for team news, then get all the goals as they go in round the grounds. Absolutely love a Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll be handing over the baton to you now. I want to discuss something that we have discussed over social media. You messaged me with a picture of Erling Haaland's ankle, the sock completely ripped, and what, Adrian? Now, what you're suggesting is that Arsenal clattering Rodri after 3 seconds last week. Now this Premier League policy to injure City so someone else wins it. Conspiracy. Now, do elaborate, Mr. Durham. Elaborate.
I was really happy.
City Durham. Yeah.
Listening to the commentary, I was happy that Stuart and Sam pointed out the injured sock of Erling Haaland with the blood seeping through it as well. Listen, these things happen during the course of a game. I get that, but the Rodri thing the injury to Rodri wasn't caused by anybody. Let's make that clear. But clattering into him early in the game, you wonder what the intention was there, and it's quite clear what the intention was. Now, do the teams want to deliberately injure? No, but do they want to disrupt? Absolutely, and maybe that's the only way City won't win the title this year. We'll see. Is it fair though?
But is this? But your suggestion on my message is that the Premier League are saying that other teams need to do this. You see, this is where I'm asking you the question.
You see, this is when do you remember when Thierry Henry was in his pomp, and literally nobody could stop him. I asked a footballer who was doing a show with me, I think it was Alvin Martin, I said, so does this happen? In the dressing room, will a coach or a manager say, just injure him first few minutes? It's horrible to think that, but does it happen? I got absolutely ruined for it, slaughtered for it, and then various footballers said to me, yeah, that happens. So
actually, Stuart Pitt, we've got a former footballer alongside us. Do managers say to you, oh, go and just leave a bit on that guy, or just outright injure him?
No one had to tell me that. I would have never got a hand on league if I didn't do that.
And I think
managers had to tell you to calm down a little bit.
I wonder if that's proven your point. I mean, it may not come from the upper echelons of, the big authorities, but someone somewhere will say, go on, have a go.
Here's the question. How do you stop Erling Haaland? Make sure he's not on the pitch.
That's probably the only way.
It's a heavy conspiracy theory, I get it, and you're going to struggle to prove that individuals are thinking that, but it just made me think a little bit, well, that's 2 weeks running. Key players from Man City, somebody's gone into them, in Rodri in the early seconds of the game last week, and then Haaland today. I wondered if there was anything in it, but it'll probably never be proven.
Do you know what? It may grow legs as the season goes on. We're only in the 6th game week so far.
Well, they might need to grow legs if they keep taking them off.
If they keep taking them off. We will revisit this, Adrian Durham. We will revisit. Speaking of the dark arts, we've got Arsenal against Leicester as well, Chelsea against Brighton as well, of course, live on TalkSport 2. Quick one on West Ham, because obviously we did the game against Chelsea last week. Julian Lopetegui, he's sort of in his press conference, he did sort of take responsibility, but only a little bit, and all eyes on him now, because it's too early to pull the trigger. You're only talking 5 games, and of course the League Cup defeat, but that was to Liverpool. Where do you see Julian Lopetegui at the moment?
Well, they've got 4 points from 5 games. They had 10 points after 5 last season. But he could easily argue it's a work in progress. We're changing the style. This is going to take a little while. And he's got every right to say that. I don't see any real signs of that.
And I don't
think the West Ham fans see that either. So he's really got to come out and prove something, I think, in these next few games. Here today at Brentford, it's going to be tough because we know what Brentford are like.
Absolutely.
And I just think that this is a big one for him, because if you're West Ham and you're travelling to this game and you lose to Brentford, then you're going to start asking questions. You can lose at Liverpool in the Cup, I get that, but it's the manner of the defeat sometimes. And another 5-1 defeat didn't go down well. I know Stuart was there, but that's not going to go down well with fans who've travelled all that way. So they need some reward today, I think.
They do, absolutely. Adrian, enjoy the G-Tech, your 11th favourite stadium out of 10. The second half is about to kick off here. And Stuart Pearce, you want to give a little shout out to a good friend of yours?
Yeah, just when we get off. When I was here, one of the physios, Derek Wright, he's been at this club 4 decades, just written a book. It's called My Story in Black and White, 4 decades fixing the mags. Pre-word by Kevin Keegan and Alan Shearer. Brilliant man. Worked with me with the under-21s. Fantastic read as well, especially if you're a Toon fan, about his time over, 40 years as the physio at one football club. Brilliant. Just retired from the game.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Toons fans, go and grab a copy of that book. However, the second half has now kicked off here. Sam Matterface, over to you.
Yeah, 20 seconds played, and Newcastle on the front foot, with Gordon trying to get the better of Diaz. Played down the left channel by a reverse pass from Harvey Barnes. No changes at half-time, which means that Gundogan has come out for the second half, and I'm pleased to tell Adrian Durham, I know he's very concerned about that sock. It has been replaced. There is a new sock and the ankle is completely covered for Erling Haaland. He's literally only about 15 metres away from us, down in front of us now. Got a very good view of that Achilles, and he seems to be okay, which is good news. Here is Diaz clearing the ball up towards the halfway line. I'll go through the 11s in just a second. It's glanced off of the head of Byrne and goes out for a throw-in to Manchester City, who are attacking the Gallagher end away to our right at the start of this second half on a sun-kissed lunchtime here in the northeast of England. And Newcastle in black and white striped jerseys, black shorts and socks, attacking the goal away to our left-hand side, the Leesy's end, as it is known. Here is Gvardiol, the goal scorer. The man who separates these two teams at this moment in time finds Jack Grealish far side, gets it back again. Newcastle with Pope in goal, Trippier, Cher, Byrne and Hall. Cher's been booked as the back four. Joel Linton, Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali as the midfield trio, with Jacob Murphy and Barnes flanking Gordon in attack. Ederson is the Manchester City goalkeeper. Walker, Diaz, Akanji and Gvardiol making up a back four, with Lewis and Kovacic protecting them. Gundogan playing a little bit further on. Still needs to find his range and rhythm today, really. Silva and Grealish flanking Haaland. And Nick Pope has the ball inside his own half, and Gundogan has put a little bit of pressure on Bruno Guimaraes, and maybe a little bit fortunate to win a free kick there, Newcastle, and if they hadn't have done, they would have been in serious trouble, because that would have been a high turnover and a free shot on goal for Gundogan.
Yeah, it was. I've got to say, Nick Pope concerns me a little bit when he's got the ball at his feet. He's not
Ederson.
Oh, he's not Ederson. Yeah, end of.
1-0 to Newcastle, to Manchester City, and the goal coming after 36 minutes here on TalkSport. Bruno Guimaraes runs against Lewis, beats him on the outside, plays it to Tonali. Tonali's ball not quite right to Gordon. There was an opportunity there to play that in behind and expose the high line, and they didn't quite make the most of it. There's a bit of a wrestling match going on in the middle of the park. Again, Tonali's ball that gets out of that situation, that physical battle, isn't quite right, and it spills out towards the near side with Bernardo Silva. Back to Kovacic. Kovacic across to Kyle Walker once again, and then Bernardo Silva right on this near touchline, a couple of steps in, finds his captain, Kyle Walker. They did do a vote, by the way, in the dressing room of who should be the captains of the team, and Kyle Walker won that vote. They did it again this week, and they always do. There's a couple of vice-captains as well. I think there's 5 or 6 vice-captains they've got now, because the vote was so tight, they tell me. Here is Diaz moving down the left, out towards Gvardiol, on to Grealish. He's level with the edge of the 18-yard box that City are attacking, and Newcastle defending. He comes infield, releases Akanji. He swishes the ball out to the right side. It's collected by Bernardo Silva, who digs out across, aimed towards Gundogan. Tonali was alert to the danger, prodded it away out for a throw down by the corner flag.
Yeah, Manchester City started this half particularly well, just hemmed Newcastle back in, and Newcastle are desperate for something to get back in this game. Probably a little bit unfortunate to be that goal down, but that's where they find themselves.
Bernardo Silva from the throw-in gets a return ball. He's down the right side of the area. Newcastle sensibly win it back, and there could have been a situation where they dived in there. They didn't do that, and Joel Linton and Bruno Guimaraes managed to get it away. Haaland has just poked Joel Linton in the eye by accident. Apologised for that, the two of them having a nice conversation as Joel Linton gets back into position. And then Walker has made an out-to-in run, curling towards the central defender Dan Byrne, but the ball from Ederson didn't go anywhere near him. And eventually it comes all the way back by Bernardo Silva and Ruben Diaz to the Haaland defence. And Bruno Guimaraes putting pressure on Kovacic. High pressure is on from Newcastle, but they've missed out Bernardo Silva, and Lewis has picked him out brilliantly, and he's got some space to operate in, or he's played it towards Grealish, and Gundogan has sort of stepped on the ball. Here is Gordon at the other end, played by Cher. Cher's continued his run. Trippier down the outside. Newcastle want to get the ball forward, and Gordon's just dropped deep to pick it up again, and Trippier has been told, or has been telling Gordon to get further up the pitch. Cher is in the centre, arriving late with a glancing header which goes through, and then out the other side of the penalty area. Harvey Barnes thought he was fouled by Walker from behind and went down just inside the box. Jared Gillett then shakes his head and says no penalty. Well, that was an interesting break from Newcastle in that their centre-forward had dropped deep and their centre-half had become the centre-forward, gone into the box, the cross from the right side from Trippier, pinpoint, the header, a glancing one, went right through the 6-yard box, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, it certainly did. It was a great ball across and he just couldn't get enough on it to direct it on target. And then certainly Walker and Barnes.
Here's Grealish edge of the area, reverse pass into Haaland, some space out wide for Bernardo Silva. Tonali's gone down inside the box, wants a free kick. Akanji looking for Bernardo Silva, comes back out to Haaland. His shot ricochets behind and it goes out for a corner on this near side. And the referee just stopping proceedings inside the penalty area and just asking for a hold here.
Yeah,
I wonder what
Tonali
this is about.
and Grealish, a little coming together. Oh my good God, absolutely nothing whatsoever. A little bit of contact between Grealish and Tonali.
Yeah, it's been sorted out. Referee said play on, and Grealish having a bit of a word with Tonali. Tonali's having one back. Referee's just trying to stop them from getting too animating. It's going to be a corner kick on this near side. Yeah, but Barnes thought he should have had a penalty when Walker went in for a tackle from behind. Should he have done?
I think it was more of, you know, when two players are running on a slightly different trajectory and come across each other. I've not seen it again, but for me, probably not enough in it, or not enough intent, definitely.
Still, the fallout between the two camps continues. Bruno Guimaraes and Carl Walker, the captains, have been summoned. Carl Walker allowed to get back into position after being summoned to the referee this time around. He did say that he might not go and speak to the referee after what happened last week. Gundogan's going to take the corner on the near side, and it will be a right-footed out-swinger, which doesn't get much loft on it, which means it's easy for Tonali to stoop and head the ball out for another throw-in to Manchester City, level with the edge of the 18-yard box on this near side. What did you make of Adrian's assertion that people would try to kick Manchester City out of the game in order to stop them from winning everything?
I've seen no different in teams' tactics from this season to last season. You do your best, you defend deep, you try and stop them, knock them out of their stride in any way you can. I'm not really seeing a great deal of difference, if I'm being honest with you.
Ball cleared from left full-back by Lewis Hall, headed again up the touchline by Diaz. Lewis Hall controls it with his chest, but Rico Lewis is very quickly around him, trying to harass him and cause him an issue. Good ball by Lewis Hall up to the middle of the park, taken down by Gordon, almost came through to Tonali. It is away quickly, and Gordon has been sent through the middle. Akanji comes across. Gordon is fast, but not quick enough to get the better of the Swiss, who takes the ball into the left full-back position, and then he sort of double-tapped it and just squeezed it through to Gundogan, and then, well, Grealish has gone down over on the far side, and Trippier is suggesting that was a dive from Jack Grealish, and the reaction from both of them suggests that he was probably right.
Yeah, I mean, it was slight contact there, probably enough for the referee to justify what he's done. Grealish is laughing about it, so is Trippier.
Free kick has been given just short of the halfway line. 1-0 to Manchester City, 55 gone on Talk Sport. And remember, we've got more commentary from the Premier League coming for you a little bit later on today. 3 o'clock over on Talk Sport 2. Chelsea against Brighton. Chelsea have been a little bit disappointing at Stamford Bridge. Let's see if Enzo Maresca can conjure up a victory for his next trick.
I must say to you, Sam, if I disappear from the commentary position here and I'm gone for a length of time, don't worry, I'm just popping down to see Bernardo Silva, probably to get his autograph. I enjoy watching him play that much. He's just down in front of us here, isn't he?
If you could try and resist the temptations to
I'll
do
try.
that,
I'll try, my friend.
It would be quite helpful. Anyway, I don't know how you're going to get out of your seat, to be honest with you. You're so tightly packed in here.
I'm hemmed in.
Yes, you are. Although your man markers, me and Resh, aren't exactly people you couldn't brush out of the way.
You could be a couple of heavyweights in your time, you two. Especially with those dark glasses, you look like a couple of bouncers.
The worst bouncers in history. Here's Joel Linton onto Bruno Guimaraes, who sets Gordon away, and Gordon's through the centre. He goes round the goalkeeper, and he goes down and wins a penalty. It's a yellow card for Ederson and a penalty for Newcastle United. It looks a bit theatrical from Anthony Gordon, who went round the goalkeeper, felt the contact, and boy did he go over. He went up and over.
I'll tell you what's happened there. Brilliant through ball. Gordon's gone through. He's took 3 or 4 touches, never ever got the ball where he wanted it to be. Played it wide, and I'll tell you what, if I was at Stockley Park, I'd overturn that. That is not a penalty. He's gone down cheaply because he hadn't had the ability to sort the ball out on his feet to get a finish away.
He should have scored. And
exactly.
I think that is going to be overturned, because I don't know how much contact there. Oh, there was a little bit of contact. A little bit of contact with a standing left foot. And yeah, it's a penalty. I think he's going to give it. There's not enough evidence to overturn it, Stuart Pearce, although it does very much look as if that's what he was looking for.
If you want to stop players diving in the modern game, you overturn that, what you've just seen. Now, he might turn around and say there was contact. He's initiated the contact, honestly.
Well, this is now a fascinating situation, because who's going to take the penalty? Anthony Gordon grabs the ball for Newcastle United. You expect Newcastle to score. The last team to stop them finding the net here were Leicester City back in May 2023. And after winning the penalty, Anthony Gordon is going to stand up and face down Ederson for a chance to drag Newcastle back into the game. 58 minutes on the clock. Last season, he made history by becoming only the second player to score in each of the games against the Big Six in one campaign last season. Can he score against another member of the Big Six once again this campaign? Gordon puffs out his chest, takes a step back towards the edge of the penalty area, addresses the ball, right-footed, rifles it into the corner. The goalkeeper goes to his left. The ball nestles past him into the right. He celebrates at the Leesy's end. And Anthony Gordon, who's just agreed a new 6-year contract, is troubling the big boys again. Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, I've got to say, whilst I didn't agree with it being a penalty, that penalty was taken magnificently well. Very, very well struck. And I think Pep will be very, very disappointed that was given against his team.
On the balance of play over the 58 minutes that we have had, Stuart, I don't think this is a poor reflection. This is probably what the game is. It's a draw between two good teams. But Newcastle failed to take their opportunities. City certainly did. But when they've been presented with a penalty kick, they've scored it, they're back on terms, and that's probably about right over the piece.
Oh, definitely. On the run of play, a draw as we stand is a fair result, no doubt.
Well, recent fixtures between Newcastle and Manchester City on Tyneside have proved pretty tight encounters. A 3-3 draw in August 2022. Howe's men edging a third-round Carabao Cup tie in September last year before the visitors gained their revenge in the league in a dramatic game in which Oscar Bob scored in the final seconds of the match to win 3-2. And now it's 1-1 here. Here is Kovacic shooting from distance and well wide of the left-hand upright.
Yeah, poor effort really. Come back to him, set back to him well again by Grealish. And he's taken a first touch, never got his body set to get his foot the right angle on a curling effort into the far corner and skewed it wide.
Well, we thought it'd be entertaining. It has been. It's been gripping so far in the last half an hour. Should be pretty fun as well. Let's rip round our grounds. We're going hunting at 2:30 for goals as they go in. Let's start off with team news from the Emirates. Alex Crook.
And the big news is that David Raya has passed a late fitness test, so Arsenal named the same 11 that started at Manchester City. As for Leicester, they bring in Skip and Buonanotte for El Khanous and Ayew from their last Premier League lineup. It's Arsenal against Leicester.
Yellow card for Mateo Kovacic for a foul on Sandro Tonali. Let's go to Everton, Matt Jones.
And there's two changes for Everton, but one of them is a big one. Jared Branthwaite is back from a groin injury, his first start of the season. Keane drops out, so does Garner, who's replaced by Mykolenko. As for Palace, one change for them. Lerma is in for Richards from the 0-0 draw against Newcastle. It's against Manchester United. It's Everton against Palace.
Goes all the way through to Joe Linton. Joe Linton goes down under pressure from Walker, and the ball spills into the arms of Ederson. And again, there's appeals for another penalty kick for Newcastle United. The free kick
which was taken on the halfway line, wasn't defended at all well by Manchester City. It scooted all the way through. They didn't deal with it, and they haven't dealt with this. Here's Barnes chipping the goalkeeper from the edge of the 6-yard box. He's blocked it in the end. It goes back out to the right wing position. Grealish tussling, Newcastle winning it, hunting up the pitch. Barnes wins it, turns it back. Murphy onto Guimaraes. Tonali and Grealish having a bit of a ding-dong over on the far side. The ball collected eventually by Newcastle. They have it with Bruno Guimaraes. Gordon, back out wide it goes. Into the path of Tonali. Tonali with a chance to cross. He's overhit it, and it goes behind the way for a goal kick. What an unbelievable 5 minutes of football we've seen here at St James's Park. Yellow card coming out for Grealish. Yellow card coming out for Tonali. Both of them being booked for winding each other up.
Yeah, as I say, the pair of them going at each other without actually throwing a fist. They were attempting to have a fight without using their arms, the pair of them. And bizarrely, Grealish has, when the ball's gone out of play, Grealish has gone back to Tonali, which has enforced the referee to book both of them.
Yeah, so a battle of the stylish haircuts, I think, that one. Tonali's just sort of asking for clarification from Jared Gillett as City are prepared to take a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Let's go off to Stamford Bridge. Ollie Klink.
It's actually Ian Danta here, Sam. One change for Chelsea from the 3-0 win at West Ham last weekend. Malo Gusto fit again, comes in, tossing at Adarabayo. He drops out the side. 3 changes, Brighton. Webster and Kadioglu make their first starts of the season. Vifa also in. Adingra, Veltman and Van Hecker drop out. From 2:30 on TalkSport 2, Chelsea against Brighton.
Sorry, Dance. Yeah, Dance is going to be commentating. Ollie Klink will be here with us from 2:30 as we bring you all the goals as they go in. It's been a chaotic first 20 minutes of the second half here, and again the noise levels going up a notch over on the far side as Gordon takes the ball out towards the far touchline, wins a throw-in. It's given away by Guimaraes, and then Haaland picks it up. He goes past Joe Linton, but Joe Linton does just enough, does he? No, he doesn't do enough at all. In fact, he does too much, and the referee ends up booking him for what he considers breaking up a promising phase of play.
Yeah, Haaland's done brilliant there, picked the ball up and drove with it, got turned, and Joe Linton just all over him slightly too much there. Good decision.
63 on the clock. It's Newcastle United 1, Manchester City 1. And bearing in mind that Manchester City have drawn with Inter Milan, drawn with Arsenal recently, and now are not leading against Newcastle United. You just wonder whether or not, or how important these next 27 minutes are going to be.
Well, where Manchester City want to finish historically and this season is top of the league, and to do that you cannot afford to drop too many points.
Gordon running down the right side. Barnes is joining on the near touchline. Gordon trying to pick him out. It's aimed towards Barnes, who goes sliding towards it, edge of the 6-yard box, almost latching onto that fizzing cross from the right. He went at rapid speed down the right side, did Anthony Gordon, and then he thrashed the ball through the 18-yard box. Went too far away from connecting with Barnes. Blackburn 2-0 up against Queen's Park Rangers in the Championship. Here it's still 1-1 between Newcastle and Manchester City. Let's get team news from Brentford. James Fielden.
Yeah, Brentford struggling with injuries at the moment. Have made one change today as Kevin Schade comes in for Yehel Yarmolyuk. West Ham United make 3 changes. Edson Alvarez suspended. Mavropanos and Crescencio Somerville make way. Souček Todibo in for his first Premier League start, and Mikel Antonio in for Julian Lopetegui, who could really do with a win in the sunshine at 3 o'clock. Brentford West Ham.
Won by Tonali. High turnover. Newcastle come forward. Barnes on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the area. Derby 1, Norwich 1 in the Championship. Sheffield Wednesday 2-0 up against West Brom over on TalkSport 2. Here's Murphy down by the byline. Low ball through the 6-yard area. No centre forward to tap it home. They'd have an open goal. Given away by City. Hall's picked it up, edge of the area, left footed, cross to the far post. Vardiol saves them, flicks the ball away because Murphy was coming in, and the ball is clipped over to the far side by Grealish, who gets a foul from Trippier. Trippier says he didn't touch him. Referee gives the free kick in Manchester City's favour, and it takes a bit of pressure off because they're under the cost right now, Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, they certainly are. A lot of pressure on them at the moment. And here's that substitution. City need something, and they've reached for Phil Foden. Gundogan, not one of his better days, I've got to say. He's been a magnificent servant for this football club, but today not one of his days.
Yeah, he's going off to be replaced by Phil Foden. Not a bad substitute if you can make it. Phil Foden, who's yet to start a Premier League game, did start in midweek against Watford. High fives with Gundogan, and he goes on to replace him for the final 25 minutes of the game, where it's currently Manchester City pegged back by Newcastle. Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1 on Talk Sport. And we've got a game on our hands, that is for sure. Ball headed away by Cher into the path of Grealish. Foden gets his first touch. A couple of yards up the pitch, the ball is carried by Kovacic in towards the left side, and Gvardiol inside Newcastle territory holds on to it and gives it back to Akanji at walking pace. Newcastle set here, trying to keep City at arm's length. Foden takes it, gives it back to Akanji, goes infield to Diaz, who's on the cusp of the centre circle, and then finds Walker. Eddie Howe, who's not been happy the way his team has been performing this season, will be a lot happier today, I think, and he's standing on the edge of the technical area, just watching and waiting and just trying to work out what the next piece of the puzzle is that he's going to have to solve. Let's go off to team news from the City ground. Jeff Peters.
Well, Forest are without the suspended Morgan Gibbs-White, who was sent off at Brighton. One of 3 changes. Hudson-Odoi and Elanga are benched. Awoniyi makes his first league start of the season. Yates and Dominguez also come in. No surprise that Fulham are unchanged. That's the 3rd league game in a row.
Yes, and playing quite well. They certainly did against Newcastle last week. Newcastle making up for that with a performance of their own here today. 67 on the clock, still 1-1. Pep Guardiola just gesticulates to Kovacic and Akanji. He's trying to move his pieces around on the chessboard. Jason Tindall standing next to Eddie Howe on the touchline, and then has to jump over the ball that goes out of play on this near side. He then slowly gives the ball back to Carl Walker. And Walker then launches it down the touchline, looking for Haaland, away by Lewis Hall. Joel Linton just had to wait for the ball to come down because he would have been accused of a high foot. Hall did well, dived in and won the ball back, and then ran into Walker. There was a collision between the two. Joel Linton pinches it off of Foden. They turn it over, and Guimaraes wants to get it forward quickly. Heavy touch by Gordon, and then the ball spills out towards Cher, and he just shovels it forward, really, just to get it away from harm's way. And it runs loose inside the City half of the field, and it remains 1-1.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations there, challenge by 2 of the players, and you couldn't work out who fouled who. So if that's the case, just ignore it and play on.
Yeah, that's better. Well, certainly Newcastle will be pleased with the way that they've applied themselves today. No matter the situation, you have to be able to show, when you're a Newcastle player, that you're giving 100% of the effort 100% of the time. And the intensity had gone in previous matches, but it's been back today. They've really forced Manchester City into playing good football in order to prize them open. They've done that once. Can they do it for a second time, the champions? That's the question. Big week for both these two teams. Champions League action for Manchester City, Carabao Cup action here on Tuesday night for Newcastle United. Gvardiol just getting the ball ahead of Jacob Murphy. One back, 10 yards short of the Newcastle penalty area by Akanji. Plays it to Grealish. Grealish overhits it, goes wide of the goal, and well, wide of the penalty area, and it goes out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Then they go to Everton before they welcome Brighton here, and then go to Chelsea. Newcastle United. You are listening to Newcastle United 1, Manchester City 1 on TalkSport with Sky Sports. And don't forget, you can stream more Sky Sports football than ever before now. Available with no contract on now, like Wolves against Liverpool live today. Search Now Sports. You know, Pep would have been here if he had his way. Did you know that? Tried to sign for the club. He wrote to Bobby Robson and asked him to sign him when he was the manager here.
Well, would have been interested to see what his trajectory as a manager would have looked like then.
Yeah, he said that Bobby had told him that it was not possible because he had a lot of quality. One of his dreams, he said, was to play in England.
Is that as a player?
As a player, yeah.
Yeah, because Pep had 4 days with me at Manchester City when I was manager.
Yeah, you biffed him up as well, didn't you?
Well, his tiki-taka weren't similar to my launching it up to Trevor Sinclair.
Ball played down the left. Haaland goes to run towards it. Pope comes out, collides with him. Did brilliantly, Pope, on that occasion. I mean, you can criticise Nick Pope for his inability to be able to, or unreliability with his feet, but with his hands he's terrific, and he was there.
He certainly was. What I like about that, two players coming together there. Nick Pope's come out. He's just got there before Haaland, a clash between the pair of them, and both of them just get up, carry on with the game. It's quite refreshing to see.
Vardiol heads the ball clear. The PGMOL have communicated their decision for the penalty, which Gordon scored. The referee awarded a penalty for a foul by Ederson on Gordon and issued a yellow card to Ederson, deeming that his actions were a genuine attempt to play the ball, but he denied an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. The VAR checked and confirmed the referee's call of the penalty and the yellow card. So that's suggesting that they didn't feel that it was an absolute howler, and therefore they didn't want to overturn the referee's decision. You can have your say on that with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy a little bit later on, 5:30. 03717 223 444. Sure, Newcastle fans absolutely delighted with the fact that they've got the penalty and the goal. And maybe Manchester City fans will have a different view on it. Diaz has it in the centre of the Newcastle half as they look to try and find a winner here with 18 minutes to go. Grealish gives it to Akanji, 5 yards back from the edge of the area, cross into the box, away by Joe Linton, falls for Haaland, who tees up Foden. Foden volleys it goalwards. It's a good save by Pope, but it was straight at him.
I tell you what, fantastic set-up play there. The ball just fell. Haaland's just taken it out the air, basically, and just popped it down to Foden. And Foden said it so cleanly, probably too cleanly, it's just gone straight at Pope. Good play.
1-1. And we had a brief debate about the over-reliance maybe on Erling Haaland that Manchester City have on the Premier League All Access podcast. Alex Crook saying that the ratio is too high, that Erling Haaland has got 10 of what was their 13 goals up until that point, but it is a team that is geared towards him scoring. Here is Gvardiol, who has got their goal today, going down the left-hand side, getting into the penalty area to the byline, pulls it back, and it's caught by Nick Pope. 1-1. It's not 1-1 now in the game between Derby and Norwich, because Norwich, who were pegged back by Derby just after half-time, have scored again. It's 2-1 to Norwich, and Sheffield Wednesday 2, West Brom 1 is the latest scoreline at Hillsborough. That's live on TalkSport 2. Sheffield Wednesday were 2-0 up in that game. Bruno Guimaraes tries to travel down the right touchline from deep inside his own half up towards the midway point, but it's cut out by City and put out for a throw-in over on the far side. Substitution about to take place here. Midfielder in Joe Willock coming in. What will he add, do you think?
Well, you're going to get a lot of energy from him. That is one thing, and I think that's the main key that has got Newcastle back in the game and given them a really good start to the game. He'll offer that. I'm not sure he'll be coming off. Tonali, you think?
Well, all three of those midfielders have been booked.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a worry for Eddie Howe as we go into the latter stage of the game.
Well, the most dangerous one to get sent off is Joe Linton, and he's the one I wouldn't take off, to be quite honest with you.
We'll have to trust him. I think it'll be Tonali because of the lack of football that he's had up until this point. Willock and Longstaff about to come on. They may change two of them. Here is Ruben Diaz. Out to the far side. He lofts the ball high into the air. It's given to Grealish. Slight cloudy, murky clouds just starting to arrive above our heads here. And Newcastle hope that's not a sign of gloom incoming. Here's Haaland trying to make them feel gloomy. Cuts in right from his right foot to his left. Strikes it. Hits the defender. Comes back out again. Back to the right it goes. And it's with Bernardo Silva into the centre of the Newcastle half, where all the football is being played at this moment in time. City camped inside Newcastle territory, trying to force them open and cultivate another goal-scoring opportunity. Kovacic from the edge of the penalty area into Foden, and then Lewis trying to poke it through, goes to ground over the legs of Joel Linton, but Burney's there to clip it clear. But again, there's no outball at this moment in time for Newcastle United, and it comes straight back again, Stuart.
No, they defend so deep that they have to play the ball out. City's press is very good. And if you haven't got an out ball, all you can do is pop it up the line and squeeze up another 10 metres.
Grealish again, trying to travel with the ball up towards the edge of the penalty area. Collected by Akanji, who's joined the attack. Everybody in Manchester City blue is within 20 yards of the Newcastle penalty area. Here is Akanji floating the ball into the near post, away by Byrne, taken down by Foden, juggles with it brilliantly, feeds Grealish, goes round the back, sends it through the centre, and Haaland can't connect with any force of the header as it flashes through the 6-yard box. It slides off his head and goes behind the Gallowgate and out for a goal kick and a let off for Newcastle.
Once again, good set-up by Grealish. He's driven the ball across the face of goal. And Haaland, well, to be honest with you, he's done well to get anything on it. There's a lot of centre-forwards probably wouldn't have put their head anywhere near that. He did, but just couldn't direct it.
Off comes Tonali, off comes Barnes, on comes Longstaff, and on comes Joe Willock. Interesting changes, because that might mean a slightly more pragmatic approach now from Newcastle United.
Yeah, you would think so. I think Eddie will be delighted taking a point away from this fixture. And more importantly, I think he'll be delighted with the performance and the energy that his team have shown.
Yeah, certainly he's been much better from Newcastle in this encounter with the very best. 4 titles in a row for Manchester City. They're trying to get a 5th. No one's done 4. To get 5 would be incredibly impressive. You're listening to Newcastle United 1, Manchester City 1 on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs. Tino Livramento also going to make an appearance here as well. And you just wonder who he is going to take over from. I think it might be Kieran Trippier.
Yeah, yes. Certainty. I think Tripps has just gone down injured and just ambling towards the edge of the pitch.
Tino Livramento is now an England international. Goes into play at right full-back. And off goes Kieran Trippier and Sandro Tonali, both of whom are getting a warm reception as they walk round the back of the goal away to our right, having left the pitch at its earliest exit opportunity. Dan Burn and Erling Haaland just involved in a rather comical conversation, having a little bit of a laugh and a joke with one another. Dan Burn, one of the very few players in the Premier League that is bigger than Erling Haaland. There's not many of those.
He's never enough bigger than one of the stands here, Dan Burn, to be fair to him.
Well, the old goalkeeper at Nottingham Forest is bigger than Dan Burn, would you believe?
Wow.
Old Carlos Miguel can't get in the team at this moment in time. He's been signed there, their backup goalkeeper. Crawley 0, Bolton 2 is the latest scoreline in League One. Crawley, who lost their manager in midweek. Scott Lindsay's gone to MK Dons. It's just disrupted what had been a relatively bright start to life in League One for Crawley. Surprise winners of the playoffs last year. Here's Walker, trying to turn the ball out towards the right side. Collected by Bernardo Silva. Back to halfway again, and Walker once more. We're into the 79th minute of this encounter between Manchester City and Newcastle. Newcastle held them right to the very end of the game last year when these two met on Tyneside, and then scored a winner in the portion of time added on at the end of the second half, and they almost gave the ball away again there with the high pressure from Newcastle doing its job and Kovacic almost wilting under the pressure. They're going to make a change.
Yeah, they are. Newcastle have made changes that look as though they're happy to keep the point. 2 wide players coming on now for Manchester City. Look as though they're going to chase the game. They need the win.
I can't see who it is going to be.
It's going to be Doku and Savinho.
Savinho, yes. I was anticipating it would probably be those two, on the basis that they are the ones that have the most creative talent off the bench. Ball cleared upfield by Edison. Byrne with a header to the left, collected by Hall, and then Joel Linton turns, looks up, wanted to play forward. Livramento had gone on miles down that right-hand side, and now he's being searched out by Cher. Guardiola cross, backing up is Murphy, gets it into Tino Livramento, collected by Guimaraes, and now Murphy's got space on the right side, and they want the ball into Longstaff, who strikes from just inside the box, narrowly wide of the right-hand upright. It's brilliant football from Newcastle United, really well crafted. Livramento's role meant that there was space for Jacob Murphy down the right-hand side,
and once he burst into a wing position, his cross was met by Longstaff, who wasn't being marshalled, and he will be absolutely furious with himself that he didn't hit the target.
Well, Sam, I bemoaned some of the final pass and the set-up play for Newcastle in the first half, but on that occasion, I've got to say, they got everything right. Even the finish, you thought he struck it well enough, but direction not so good.
So close, Newcastle United, to taking the lead in this game. Doku and Savinio are on for Manchester City. 1-1 the score with 10 minutes to go. Can Newcastle craft open this Manchester City backline and steal 3 points? Will Manchester City manage to do the same at the other end? And will we end up in a situation where the leaders start wasting a bit of time? Because, hold on a second, is that a change of tack? They're going to go long now after setting up to play short, and Edison's taking his time, and eventually the ball is cleared upfield. We're having a bit of a joke with it because, as we said before the game, everybody does it. Willock wins it, gives it to Bruno Guimaraes. He's got 5 players in blue shirts around him. He comes away with the ball, does well. Gordon, good take, takes it away from Ruben Diaz, and then tries to poke it into the path of Willock, and then the ball back towards the goalkeeper was being shut down by Murphy. And then a mistake by Joel Linton, who switches off, and Bernardo Silva has pinched the ball for Manchester City. He scampers to the edge of the box. He's got Haaland peeling away to the left. He's gone a little bit wide, so when he gives it back to Doku, there's still work to do, and it gives time for Newcastle to flex back behind the ball. They've done that now. City on the charge here. Here is Walker to Savinio, facing up Lewis Hall. Back to Walker again. His floated cross is delivered towards the back post, and then Livramento is being pushed by Haaland. Manages to get it away. Walsall 2, Colchester 0. Here is Savinio down the right-hand side to the byline, and Bernardo Silva, and then Hall wins the free kick down by the byline, and it'll be a free kick which takes the pressure off. Albert Adoma has scored in that game in League 2. Here it's 1-1.
Yep, and as I say, the game is up for sharing at the moment, no doubt about it. Neither team look as though they're going to cede anything. And if I was a betting man, I would say it would stay the same as it is at the moment. But I did say a couple of nights ago, and typical one of my faux pas, Salah come off the bench, had a really poor impact. I said I haven't seen him yet, and within seconds he'd had a shot, scored a goal and got a player sent off.
Yes, your predictions are usually spot on though. I think last year you said Newcastle would win the league, didn't you?
Oh, that was another one of mine, yeah. And Liverpool the year before that, they didn't win it either.
Edison, his kick out again is a little bit dicey, and it goes all the way through towards Doku, but just about. And then Newcastle work hard to win it back from Cher, and then gives it away cheaply. You can't be casual in these circumstances and invite pressure from Manchester City. Foden now breaking down the left-hand side, manhandled by Bruno Guimaraes. The free kick is given. And the referee says, well, he had his hand on the back of his jersey and pulled him down. And Bruno Guimaraes is saying, well, hold on a second, that wasn't sustained holding.
It was a free kick, and when you've been booked, you've got to be very careful. If the referee gives a free kick, put your hands up, accept your medicine. Don't be berating the referee, because he could send you off.
Yeah, they might have to think about that with 5 minutes to go, 6 minutes to go. Although Bruno Guimaraes is very good at not getting booked. He's good at getting booked, but when he promised Eddie Howe at the end of last season, don't worry about it, I know I've got 15 games to go and I can't get booked, otherwise I get a free match ban, I won't. And he didn't.
It's fair, sensible.
Foden to take the kick on the far side. It's a deep one which goes right through the penalty area and almost emerges the other side. It's collected by Bernardo Silva. His left-footed delivery comes to the Kovacic, who's stretching on the volley, and actually, I mean, it's at least 2 goal widths wide of the post by Mateo Kovacic, who scored on the opening day at Chelsea, and has yet to do so since. He's very different to Rodri, but he's had to play in there today, Mateo Kovacic. And again, is this going to be a game where Rodri doesn't play and Manchester City don't win?
Well, I'm not sure about that. What I would say is, are Manchester City a better team with him in the ranks? 100% they are.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody who would argue with you with that, Stuart. Here is Savinio, though, trying to wriggle away from Longstaff. He gets beyond him, and then, Joel Linton nudged him to the floor. He has to be very careful, Joel Linton, because he's on a yellow card, and that was just a little bit dubious from Joel Linton.
But you've got to give him credit, you know. He's dropped back into the back four on occasion. He's headed things. He's a physical presence. He's got personality, which I absolutely love. He's rekindled himself since he dropped out of that centre-forward role.
Yeah, scored the winner against Southampton. Scored from the spot against Manchester City in the 4-3 here a couple of years ago. And actually had a great chance in that first half where he turned, swiveled and smacked the ball goalwards. And Edison had to make a good save from him. He's down at this moment in time, I think, having expended quite a bit of energy. And he's being helped to his feet by Damper, and there's a bit of a brief stoppage in play. Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1. The latest odds are available on Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Newcastle 8-1 to win the game, Manchester City 3-1, and the draw is 5-2 That's thanks to Betfair, who are paying out bets at the 90-minute mark with 90-minute guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BigGambleAware.org. We've got 3 minutes of normal time plus added time to play. And remember the late drama between these two last year. Cher, lovely ball out towards the right-hand side. Murphy has got it. Bruno Guimaraes wants it played forward. And it wasn't a great ball by Murphy. It was ricocheting off of Akanji, and it meant that Newcastle lost possession. And now they've turned the ball over by giving away a free kick. Gordon says, I don't know why I've been penalised for that, but he has been. But that was a chance, Stuart, to play the ball down the right side. Murphy getting away. Bruno Guimaraes had made a really intelligent run. He needed to be found.
Yeah, he did. As I say, Murphy just didn't get the pass right. And so probably been too many of those miss-hit passes. I would say more so in the first half, though.
Remember the record that City have over Newcastle United. It's heavily tipped in their favour. But they're going to drop points here unless they can come up with a winner. Akanji moving up to the edge of the penalty area. Blocked by Cher. Big, strong, aggressive movement from the Swiss defender. Clears, but only as far as Ruben Diaz. Back to Manuel Akanji. Carl Walker inside the Newcastle half, dead centre of it. Every Newcastle player behind the ball here as Manchester City look to try and get a winner, and Newcastle look to hold on here for what will be a precious point, a good point at the start of a season where they, especially in terms of points, have started brilliantly, even if performances haven't been perfect. And I suppose that's a great thing, really, isn't it? You know, if you're still getting points on the board but you're not playing well, imagine what happens when you are. And Murphy has swiveled away from Akanji, got to the halfway line, burst into the Manchester City half. He's got Gordon out on the right hand side. Joe Linton is arriving. Joe Linton didn't realise that Savinio was behind him, and Murphy took too long to play the ball. And it's won by Manchester City, and the attempt of the breakaway is foiled.
It certainly has. There's been a couple of times in the game where Joe Linton has not realised what's around him on occasion. That was certainly one of them.
It was a better ball from Murphy to play in behind for Gordon, do you think?
Potentially, yeah.
A little bit of disappointment for Newcastle United, but what a difference 7 days makes. Last week, Eddie Howe furious about the performance. This week, he'll be absolutely delighted with the way that they've applied themselves, and he'll be a lot happier in 90 seconds or so if it finishes this way.
He certainly will, because when you've put as much endeavour in as Newcastle have, you'll be disappointed you come away with nothing.
Here's Doku down the left-hand side trying to get into a crossing position. He falls over and the ball goes loose inside the box. It's cleared away. Oh, Longstaff has just duffed one straight to the path of Guardiola. And then Foden into the penalty area, cleared away. One back by Foden, far side. Newcastle got to be careful here. It's picked up by Bernardo Silva, released to Walker, edge of the penalty area. Eddie Howe frustrated, he's bouncing around on the edge of the technical area as Savinio tries to release Walker, but Joel Linton steps in, and there's a little bit of light relief. And then Gordon is trying to get away, and Ruben Diaz brings him down. That's a yellow card. And it's a free kick, and a few precious seconds wasted as Newcastle inch towards a point against Manchester City.
Yeah, I think we got 7 minutes of overtime to play, so more than enough for a winner here. And an equaliser as well.
Crikey, we could go out and get a hot dog, come back and see what happens at the end.
See, these are situations that we've just seen there. Breakaway was on, Gordon's done well, got turned, flown past someone. Diaz has brought him down very, very clinically. And yes, it's a yellow, but my goodness me, I think there's 10 minutes in the sin bin needed as well for that.
Yeah, that was a real cynical challenge from Ruben Diaz. Sheffield Wednesday 3, West Brom 2. What a game it's been over on TalkSport 2. West Brom equalised and Sheffield Wednesday went up the other end. Brilliant match. There's still a few minutes of normal time left over on TalkSport 2, but there is drama here as Derby get further behind. Norwich City have scored a third goal there. It's 3-1 to the Canaries away at Pride Park. Here it is 1-1 and we're into stoppage time, of which there's going to be 7 minutes on TalkSport. We've played nearly a minute of that. If it stays like this, Manchester City will be top of the table, but Liverpool and Aston Villa will have designs on overtaking them. Newcastle will have 11 points at this moment in time, if that is the case. Here is a chance for Savinio to escape the clutches of Longstaff. He's done that. Fed Haaland, 10 yards short of the penalty area. Foden turns, twists and just pushes the ball into the path of Doku, who returns the ball into the centre, away by Joel Linton, filling in at centre half and prodding the head clear. Once again, he's done brilliantly today, Joel Linton.
Yeah, you've got to look at him. He lost the ball so cheaply, but I tell you what, he doesn't give up on it. He worked back, and he cleared up for the mistake that he made.
Savinio to Walker, back to Savinio again. Savinio then trying to trundle down the edge of the penalty area into Foden. Little tight ball in towards Bernardo Silva, turns and battles the ball goalwards. It's a terrific save by Pope, up high to his right. It's a wonderful bit of football from Manchester City. Savinio to Foden on the chest and a swivel, a volley by Bernardo Silva, and it's stopped beautifully up to his right by Nick Pope to keep the scores level.
Well, it was a fantastic technique to set up the effort. The effort was brilliant in itself. Probably too clinical. If he'd have missed it, he scores. Good save.
Corner far side. Foden in towards the near post. It comes out of the penalty area and then back in it goes. Cher manages to bundle it clear. Gordon tries to head it forward. Doku brings him down. Referee says no foul. I think it was. I think the poor lad's got a little bit of a reputation. That's why it wasn't given. Doku goes to try and cross. Gordon stands in front of him, blocks it, goes behind. It goes out for a goal kick away to our right, and he gets a little bit of revenge, a modicum of revenge. We played 3 minutes of added time. We've got 7 to play, and it's 3-0 now to Walsall, who lead Colchester by 3-0. Colchester, who are unbeaten in 5 before today, going to lose at the Best Scott Stadium. Goal kick for Newcastle United away to our right hand. So what a moment that might have been for Bernardo Silva. Brilliant set-up play from Manchester City, and then he chested it down, turned and swiveled so balletically, hit it so sweetly, and it was a brilliant save from Nick Pope. It shouldn't be underrated.
I think the ball's just got punctured, believe it or not.
Such a fiercely competitive game, Stuart. That's why the ball can't cope. And we've got a few minutes left. It has been a bit of a ding-dong, hasn't it? It's been great to watch. Good game. And Walsall get a 4th against Colchester, 4-0. Ball back with Pope, who clears long upfield. And it's aimed towards Anthony Gordon, cut out by Diaz. Joe Linton scrapping for it. Problem is, when these games go on for an extra 7 minutes, it does mean that the toll on the play. Newcastle, I think, were trying to get to the 90-minute mark, then look up and see a 7-minute added time, and they think themselves even more work to do. Haaland and Byrne wrestling with each other like Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker. The ball spills out to the right side. Walker gets it. It comes back into Akanji. Akanji moves forward. We're getting towards the end of the game. Eddie Howe has never beaten Manchester City as a manager. Is there a late twist in the tail here, like there was when Oscar Bobb scored in stoppage time last year in this fixture? They looked like they were set for a point then. Are they going to get one now? Ball played into Foden. Lovely little half turn. Gets it onto his left foot. It comes bouncing off of Longstaff into Kovacic's path. They're on the attack here with everyone forward, City. Savinio stands it up. Haaland with a header. Straight down the throat of the goalkeeper. And he is frustrated. He kicks the ground. And he walks away shaking his head. He can't believe that he hasn't scored today. Derby 2, Norwich 3. Derby get one back in the Championship. 5 minutes of stoppage time in that game. There was a late end to the first half as well in that match. There's a late end to this game too. Newcastle look as if they're going to escape with a point. Just over 100 seconds to play, and it'll be a good result for Newcastle United. And Anthony Gordon, oh, what's happened here? He's just gone running into the penalty area, and he's just gone straight down to the floor, and he's got a real issue. He's gone down holding his, I think it's his calf that's the problem. His left calf, is it? Is it cramp? I hope it's only cramp.
I think it's cramp, yeah.
But he's got back to his feet now as Newcastle try to stop Manchester City from progressing. Over the halfway line they come with Kovacic, who just wanders up towards the left edge of the area, then checks back. Again, there hasn't been enough creation for Manchester City in the game. I would think Pep Guardiola will be a little bit disappointed with that. They've had big opportunities, but when those opportunities have come, Nick Pope has come to the rescue. Here down the right side, Savinho with a cross. It takes a bounce off Hall, and it will go out for a corner in the last minute of stoppage time at the end of the 90. This is the 52nd minute of the second half. It's 1-1. Newcastle want to hang on. City want to try and get over the line. Are they going to drop points again? Left-footed delivery from Savinho, right under the goalkeeper. Big Dan Burn with a header away. Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall trying to get Newcastle out, but they're sitting deep here. Foden flicks it back into the box. Pope should come and claim. He does come and claim, and the pressure is off, and Newcastle will waste the last few seconds to try and get over the line against Manchester City. They've had so many bad results against them, but this time, maybe this time, they're going to get away with a point, and I think they deserve it.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. They've been really good in this game. Not in out-and-out quality, but certainly in endeavour, getting forward, pressing, all of those type of things. They deserve something out of the game.
There'll be an inquest as to Manchester City. I think he got rather irate yesterday, Pep Guardiola. You'll say if we don't win, it's to do with Rodri. But sometimes when the cast has to change, the performance does get affected. They'll have to get used to life without Rodri for a while, and no doubt they'll find a solution in the end, but there is no disputing that when he's not in the team, the wins go down and the failures go up. Manchester City still sit proudly on top of the Premier League, but that might change by the end of the weekend, because they dropped points against Newcastle United. A second-half penalty from Anthony Gordon levelled the score after a Gvardiol goal just before half-time in the first. It means that it's finished at St James's Park. Newcastle 1, Manchester City 1.
Sam Matchface, thank you very much. Hugs between Pep Guardiola and Eddie Howe just on the touchline there as the everyone off the subs bench comes up to hug each other, basically. It's a game that was really end to end, so enjoyable to be here and watch this one. Incredible atmosphere generated at St James's Park as always, but there's no getting away from the fact that Manchester City have just dropped 2 valuable points in the title race, early days as it is, but for Newcastle United that is an absolutely massive point for them. Players still out on the pitch, no one exiting just yet. Newcastle really very much in the centre circle. Everyone is congratulating each other. They know how big that is. Manchester City players look like they're all having a bit of a chat, wondering what went wrong there, but they are going over